Hey there, fellow nature lovers. Welcome to my channel, The Sleepy Biologist. Before we dive into today's feathery adventure, tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? I love hearing from viewers across the globe. Today, we're asking a simple question. What do birds do all day? It turns out, quite a lot more than you'd think. Let's follow a day in the life of our feathered friends, from sunrise songs to sunset snuggles. Let's get started. It starts before the sun has even peaked above the horizon. A quiet hum begins to rise from the trees. One by one, voices join in, and suddenly, the stillness of the early morning is transformed into a living, breathing orchestra of birdsong. This is the dawn chorus, one of nature's most enchanting and mysterious daily performances. If you've ever woken up to birds singing outside your window, you've experienced just a tiny piece of what's happening all around the world at sunrise. It's not just random chirping. Each note has a purpose. For birds, the early morning is prime time to communicate. The air is cooler, sound travels farther, and there's less wind or background noise to compete with. So, in these golden moments before the day fully begins, birds take center stage. But why do they sing? One big reason is territory. Male birds, in particular, belt out their best tunes to let others know, this space is mine. It's a sonic fence, drawn in notes instead of posts. Their song is both a warning and a performance, aimed at rivals and potential mates alike. The stronger and more complex the song, the more impressive the bird, at least in the avian dating world. For many species, vocal range and stamina are signs of good health and strong genetics, which makes a big difference during mating season. Different species chime in at different times, creating a layered effect. Robins and thrushes are often the early risers. Warblers and finches might join in a bit later, and owls wrap up their nighttime calls as the daylight birds take over. The timing is so precise that researchers can actually predict which species will start singing based on the temperature, light level, and location. It's like a perfectly timed relay race, only instead of passing a baton, they're passing a melody. The science behind the dawn chorus is still unfolding. Some studies suggest that birds sing more vigorously at dawn because they've made it through the night, a feat that's not guaranteed when you're small, vulnerable, and surrounded by nocturnal predators. Singing might be their way of saying, I'm still here, or I made it, and I'm ready for another day. And while we're used to thinking of birds as always flitting about or looking for food, this is a moment of stillness for many of them. During the dawn chorus, birds often perch in one spot, heads tilted back, beaks wide open. Their bodies might be still, but their voices are soaring. The dawn chorus isn't the same everywhere. In tropical rainforests, where bird diversity is off the charts, the morning symphony can be deafening, with dozens or even hundreds of species chiming in. In more temperate zones, like suburban neighborhoods or countryside hedgerows, the chorus is more sparse, but no less magical. Even city birds adapt their songs to cut through the urban noise, sometimes singing louder or at higher pitches than their rural cousins. Birds don't need to see each other to respond. One song can set off a chain reaction across a forest, as one bird's call triggers another, and so on, echoing like a ripple through the trees. Some species even mimic others, blending and borrowing bits of song like DJs, remixing old tracks into something new. And yes, there's a reason this chorus happens so early. Light is one of the strongest cues in a bird's internal clock. As the sky begins to brighten, sometimes imperceptibly to us, birds can sense the change through specialized cells in their brains and eyes. Even before sunrise, their bodies are already preparing for the day. Hormone levels rise, metabolism kicks in, And with all that energy built up overnight, singing becomes a natural outlet. In some cultures, the dawn chorus has been compared to prayer or meditation, a daily ritual that marks the renewal of life. Whether you're deep in a forest or sipping your morning coffee on a balcony, hearing those first notes can connect you to a rhythm older than cities, older than humanity itself. So next time you wake up to birdsong, take a moment. Listen. That sound isn't just background noise. It's a message, a celebration, a declaration. It's the sound of birds welcoming the sun and reminding us that a new day has begun. As the golden light of morning stretches across treetops, rooftops, and forest floors, a new ritual begins. Quieter than the dawn chorus, but just as important. With the first warmth of the sun on their feathers, birds shift their attention from singing to self-care. What happens next might look like a bird just ruffling itself, but it's actually a meticulous, almost meditative practice, preening. Birds spend a surprisingly large portion of their day grooming themselves, especially in the morning. Imagine waking up with your entire outfit in disarray, feathers flattened, rumpled, or out of place from sleeping with your head tucked under your wing. For birds, their feathers aren't just for looks. They're critical for flight, insulation, waterproofing, and even communication. If feathers are damaged or misaligned, everything from flying to staying warm becomes harder, even dangerous. So the first order of business after waking is to make sure everything is in top condition. Preening starts with fluffing, a full-body shake that puffs up every feather, dislodging dirt, dust, or tiny parasites. You might see a bird give a big, full-body tremble or stretch one wing up and over in a graceful arc. This isn't just stretching, it's the beginning of the grooming routine. After that comes the real work. Using their beak almost like a tiny comb, birds meticulously run it along individual feathers, realigning the barbs, the microscopic hooks that help feathers stay neat and aerodynamic. If a feather is bent, out of place, or fraying, the bird will gently smooth it back into shape or remove it if necessary. They often work front to back, starting with the chest and belly, then moving to the wings, and finally the long flight feathers of the tail. Some species have an almost choreographed sequence, honed by instinct and daily practice. But there's another element to this ritual that's invisible to the eye but absolutely essential: preen oil. Near the base of their tail, birds have a special gland called the uropygial gland. When a bird rubs its beak against this gland, it collects a small amount of oil, which it then spreads across its feathers as it preens. This oil helps condition the feathers, keeping them flexible and water-resistant. For water birds like ducks or swans, this oil is vital. It keeps them dry while swimming and insulates them from cold water. For songbirds and other land birds, it helps preserve feather health and fends off wear from sun exposure or dust. Interestingly, the oil may also play a role in scent communication or even UV protection. In some species, preen oil contains compounds that fluoresce under ultraviolet light, and since birds can see UV, this may make them more visually appealing to potential mates. In essence, preening isn't just hygiene. It's a makeover, a sunblock, a waterproofing spray, and maybe even a kind of invisible cologne. But preening isn't always a solitary activity. In social species, like parrots, corvids, or lovebirds, you might see what's called allopreening, where two birds groom each other. This serves multiple purposes, reinforcing pair bonds, reducing tension, and helping groom spots that are hard to reach, like the back of the head or neck. Among mated pairs, allopreening can be incredibly gentle and affectionate. It's part of what keeps their partnership strong, a daily moment of quiet closeness in the sometimes dangerous, always busy world of birds. While preening, birds are vulnerable. Their attention is divided, and their wings are often lowered or spread. So many birds pick a safe perch, one with a good view of the surroundings or the safety of a dense bush. They might groom quickly if they feel exposed, or take their time if they feel secure. In a flock, birds often preen together, safety in numbers. If one spots a predator, the whole group will know in seconds. Sometimes, preening is paired with sunning. Birds will perch in a sunbeam, spread their wings or tails, and let the warmth soak into their feathers and skin. This serves a dual purpose. The heat helps activate oils and loosen debris, and it also helps dislodge mites or parasites. Some birds combine this with dust bathing, especially in drier regions. Fluffing in dry soil and shaking it through their feathers helps absorb excess oil and remove pests. It's not unlike how humans use dry shampoo or scrubs to freshen up. The entire routine, from fluffing and stretching to oiling and organizing, might take several minutes or even up to an hour, depending on the bird, the season, and how messy the night was. During molting season, when new feathers are growing in and old ones falling out, birds may spend even more time on grooming to ease irritation or help emerging feathers open properly. All of this effort isn't just about staying comfortable. A well-preened bird is a healthy bird, more aerodynamic, more attractive to mates, and better protected against the elements. Feathers are a bird's most valuable possession, and keeping them in perfect shape is a full-time job. So the next time you see a bird gently turning its head and nibbling at its feathers, or lifting a wing in a graceful arch to get just the right spot, know that you're watching something intimate and vital. It's not just fluffing and fidgeting. It's maintenance. It's survival. It's beauty, order, and instinct, woven together in a ritual as ancient as flight itself. As the sun climbs higher in the sky and the chorus of birdsong begins to fade, a shift takes place in the rhythm of the avian world. The early morning melodies, filled with purpose and pride, give way to something even more urgent, the pursuit of food. For birds, finding a meal isn't just a casual part of the day. It's a constant mission for survival. Every day begins with an empty stomach, and after the energy burned from singing, preening, and warming up, it's time to refuel. Unlike humans, birds can't stock a pantry or store leftovers in a fridge. Most birds have incredibly fast metabolisms, and their small bodies burn through calories at a remarkable rate, especially those that fly. Some hummingbirds, for example, need to eat every 10 to 15 minutes just to stay alive, consuming up to twice their body weight in nectar each day. Even medium-sized songbirds must forage regularly, often spending more than half of their daylight hours searching for food. Going without can mean death by nightfall. But what a bird eats, and how it goes about finding that food, depends entirely on its species, its environment, and the season. Insects, seeds, fruits, nectar, fish, rodents, buds, or even other birds. Each type of diet comes with its own strategies, skills, and tools. A warbler flits through tree branches, eyes sharp and body light, scanning leaves for tiny caterpillars or gnats. Its movements are fast, precise, a dance of darting hops and sudden pauses. When it spots something edible, it snaps it up mid-air or plucks it from a branch with practiced ease. Other insectivores use even more dramatic strategies. Flycatchers perch and wait, launching into quick flights to snatch bugs from the air with acrobatic precision. Woodpeckers, by contrast, have evolved for a life of excavation, Their strong, chisel-like beaks are built for hammering into bark and dead wood in search of insects and larvae. Their long, barbed tongues can stretch out to fish prey from deep crevices. Every tap and probe is backed by highly sensitive hearing. They can detect the movement of insects under bark and zero in on invisible tunnels, much like a human using a stethoscope. Birds that feed on seeds or nuts have entirely different adaptations. Finches, sparrows, and grosbeaks possess short, stout beaks, perfect for cracking open husks and shells. You might see a finch grip a sunflower seed in its beak, rotate it skillfully, and then crack it cleanly to extract the nutritious core. Parrots take this to the extreme, using both their beaks and their feet to manipulate food with near-human dexterity. Then there are the fruit specialists, birds like tanagers, orioles, and toucans. For them, breakfast might involve hopping from tree to tree, plucking ripe berries or soft fruit from the canopy. Their beaks are often curved or elongated, perfect for slicing or grasping juicy pulp. As they feed, they also become accidental gardeners, dispersing seeds far and wide through their droppings, a vital part of the ecosystem's health and renewal. For nectar feeders like hummingbirds or sunbirds, the search for food becomes a race against the clock. Their wings beat hundreds of times per second, and their hearts race even faster. Hovering in front of a flower, they probe deep with needle-thin beaks, sipping sugary nectar to keep their energy up. Each flower only offers a tiny drop, so they must visit hundreds, even thousands, in a single day. In return, they act as pollinators, brushing pollen from bloom to bloom, fueling the cycle of reproduction for countless plants. And let's not forget the scavengers, birds who look for what others leave behind. Crows, gulls, and vultures are masters of opportunity, thriving on leftovers, roadkill, and anything edible. Crows in particular are famously clever, using problem-solving skills and even simple tools to access food. A crow might drop a nut on a crosswalk, wait for a car to crack it open, and then swoop in during the red light to collect its prize. Seagulls in urban environments have been known to open lunch bags, unzip backpacks, and steal hot dogs right off plates. Waterbirds bring their own set of talents. Herons, egrets, and kingfishers often begin their day near ponds, rivers, or tidal pools, standing still as statues until the flash of a fish betrays its location. Then, in a blur of motion, a lightning-quick strike of the beak delivers a fresh catch. Dabbling ducks skim the surface, filtering out plants and insects with their broad, sieve-like bills. Diving birds like loons or grebes plunge underwater, chasing fish with torpedo-like grace. Even raptors, hawks, falcons, and owls begin their hunting early. While many hunt during the day, owls finish their night shift as the sun rises, gliding home with a full belly. Hawks soar on thermals, scanning the fields below for movement. A mouse scurrying, a lizard darting. Their eyes are so sharp that they can spot a rabbit from hundreds of feet in the air. Once they see their prey, they tuck their wings and dive, talons first. Birds who live near humans often take advantage of our leftovers. Urban pigeons, sparrows, and starlings forage for crumbs in parks or sidewalks. Some species, like house finches or grackles, have even learned to time their activity to coincide with school lunch breaks or restaurant trash pickups. Feeding behavior becomes a blend of instinct, adaptation, and cleverness. Food is also central to social life. In flocking species, group foraging offers safety in numbers. A flock of starlings might descend on a grassy field, each bird searching for insects, but always alert for danger. One alarm call sends the whole group airborne in a breathtaking wave. In other species, such as some corvids or parrots, individuals may share food or alert others to good feeding spots. especially close family or bonded pairs. Parents feeding young face the biggest challenge of all. A single chick might need dozens, even hundreds, of feeding visits per day. That means the adults must forage almost non-stop, gathering caterpillars, regurgitated seeds, or whole insects and returning again and again to an open beak, always hungry, always waiting. It's exhausting, demanding work, and it doesn't let up until the chicks are grown. In the natural world, breakfast isn't a meal taken in peace. It's a high-stakes quest where time, energy, and risk all compete. Every bite matters, whether in the dense canopy, the open meadow, a city street, or a backyard feeder. Birds spend their morning chasing nourishment, adapting to the ever-changing conditions around them. So when you see a robin tugging a worm from the ground, or a hummingbird hovering near a flower, or a jay cracking an acorn, you're witnessing something fundamental. Not just eating, but surviving. Every flutter, hop, dive, and peck is a step in the day's great journey. The first act in a full and busy life that begins, always, with the need to feed. Once the first wave of feeding has passed and bellies are filled, at least for the moment, the forest, field, or city park begins to pulse with a different kind of energy. The air is still alive with sound, but this time the songs aren't just for greeting the sun. They're becoming more selective, more strategic. Birds are no longer just part of a dawn chorus. Now, they're speaking directly to their neighbors, to rivals, to mates, and to anyone else who might be listening. In this mid-morning window, singing becomes serious business. It's no longer just a group performance. It's personal. Birdsong is not random noise. Each trill, chirp, whistle, or warble is packed with meaning. For some birds, a song is a direct challenge. This territory is mine. Cross the line, and you'll face me. For others, it's a love letter. I'm healthy, strong, and ready to raise chicks. Choose me. And for many, it's both at once. The same song that tells a rival to stay away also tells a potential mate to come closer. What's remarkable is just how many layers are hidden inside those seemingly simple sounds. Many birds have a core repertoire, a set of signature songs unique to their species. But within that, individuals often add their own twist. Some birds have only one or two songs, others have dozens, or even hundreds. The brown thrasher, for example, is known to sing over 1,000 different phrases. Nightingales can sing all night long without repeating a note. Some species, like mockingbirds and lyrebirds, even mimic the calls of other birds. And in some cases, human-made sounds like car alarms, camera shutters, or chainsaws. The complexity of a bird's song can communicate intelligence, vitality, and experience. A male who knows many songs, or can execute difficult trills, might have survived several breeding seasons, outlasted predators, and proven his fitness. For females, this is a kind of audio resume. The more skilled the singer, the more desirable the partner. But singing isn't just about impressing others. It's about setting boundaries. In territorial species, a bird's voice is its first line of defense. By declaring its presence through song, a bird can avoid the physical risk of a fight. Think of it like a vocal fence, a warning system that says, "Occupied, keep out." If a rival ignores the message, the singing may intensify. One bird may fly closer, the other may counter with a louder song. This can escalate into a kind of sing-off, with two males trading phrases, volume, and speed, sometimes for hours, each trying to outdo the other. In many cases, these vocal duels are enough. The weaker or less motivated bird backs off, avoiding a costly clash. But when songs aren't enough to settle the matter, the competition can become physical, chasing, wing-slapping, or even pecking. Still, the goal is usually to avoid injury, and singing gives both birds a chance to measure each other up before things get serious. Interestingly, not all birds sing for the same reasons at the same times. In some species, only males sing. In others, females sing too, especially in tropical regions, where year-round territories are common, and both partners defend them together. In these cases, a male and female may sing in duet, their calls woven together like threads in a single melody. These duets aren't just beautiful, they're functional. They help pairs stay in sync, strengthen their bond, and jointly repel intruders. Different species also have different song styles and preferences depending on their habitat. Birds that live in dense forests often use lower frequency, slower songs that can travel more easily through thick vegetation. Birds in open areas, like grasslands, use higher-pitched, faster songs that carry well across wide spaces. In cities, birds have even adapted their songs to rise above the urban noise. Some city-dwelling birds now sing at a higher pitch or during quieter hours to ensure their messages are heard over the hum of traffic. And songs aren't the only sounds birds use. Many species also produce calls, shorter, sharper sounds used for alarm, contact, or coordination. While a song might be elaborate and musical, a call is often quick and urgent. A chick might call for food. A flock might use calls to stay together during flight. A sharp, high-pitched chip might mean danger is nearby, and every bird in earshot will suddenly freeze or take cover. These calls are often universal, understood by many species across the ecosystem. Some birds also create non-vocal sounds. Woodpeckers drum on hollow trunks to advertise their presence. Snipes and hummingbirds use modified feathers to make whirring or buzzing noises during courtship displays. Manakins, small tropical birds, can clap their wings together faster than the human eye can follow, creating popping sounds to attract mates. Even pigeons, usually considered quiet, produce a whistling sound with their wings as they take off, a possible alarm signal to other birds nearby. Learning to sing is not automatic. Most songbirds are born with the potential to learn their species' song, but they must hear it first. Juveniles spend weeks listening to adults, memorizing the patterns, and practicing. This learning window, often called the sensitive period, is crucial. A young bird raised in isolation or among different species may never develop a proper song, but once learned, a bird's song becomes part of its identity, a voice print that stays for life, often with personal variations that make it unique. Some birds refine their songs each year. Others improvise, evolve, and remix. There's evidence that in some regions, entire bird populations have developed regional dialects, subtle differences in phrasing or rhythm that reveal where a bird comes from. A white-crowned sparrow in San Francisco may sound slightly different from one just a few hours north, and birds recognize these variations. As the day unfolds, singing may wax and wane depending on the bird's needs. A newly arrived migrant may sing loudly and often, trying to stake a claim in unfamiliar territory. A paired male may sing less, having already secured a mate. During peak breeding season, the woods may seem alive with constant melody. Later in summer, as the focus shifts to raising young, the songs may grow quieter, less urgent. But in those bright morning hours, after breakfast, but before the heat of midday, birdsong dominates the soundscape. It's not background noise. It's a living language, filled with tension, passion, memory, and meaning. Every chirp and warble tells a story of power, of presence, of desire, of warning. For us, it may sound like music. For birds, it's everything. After the vibrant morning flurry of preening, feeding, and singing, a noticeable shift begins to settle across the landscape. The sun has climbed higher, shadows shrink, and the air starts to shimmer with heat. For many birds, this is a signal that it's time to change gears. What was once a bustling stage of activity begins to slow. By mid to late morning, especially during warmer months, many birds enter a quieter phase of the day, a period of rest, observation, and energy conservation. Rest in the avian world is not like sleep in humans. Birds don't typically lie down or fully close themselves off from their surroundings. Their form of rest is light, alert, and often strategic. Perched on a branch, fence post, or power line, a bird may appear to be doing nothing, just sitting quietly, occasionally blinking, maybe shifting its feet. But this apparent stillness is anything but passive. These mid-morning pauses are crucial moments of recalibration, both physically and mentally. For starters, birds need to digest. Many of the foods they eat, seeds, berries, insects, or prey, require time to be broken down. Some birds, like pigeons and doves, have a specialized organ called the crop, which temporarily stores food to be digested later. Raptors such as hawks and owls may swallow prey whole, bones and all, and then sit quietly for hours while their digestive system does its work. Songbirds that gorge on insects during the early morning often take a break afterwards, letting their smaller stomachs process the flood of protein. But resting isn't just about digestion, it's about energy budgeting. Birds burn enormous amounts of calories simply existing, especially those that fly regularly. Even standing requires balance and constant micro-adjustments, so periods of stillness help to conserve energy for the next round of movement, whether it be hunting, feeding chicks, migrating, or escaping predators. Many birds also use this time for surveillance. Perching high or in partially concealed spots gives them a vantage point from which to monitor their territory. They watch for movement below, whether it's the flutter of prey, the approach of a rival, or the silent stalk of a predator. From this position, a bird can also listen, attuning to the vocalizations of neighbors, alarm calls, or the subtle sounds of wind and wings in the trees. In flocking species, a resting period often means many eyes on the lookout, taking turns staying alert while others nap or relax. Rest isn't always solitary either. Birds often choose to pause in loose groups, especially in species that forage or roost together. House sparrows may gather in a shaded shrub, fluffing their feathers and remaining largely silent. Pigeons might cluster on rooftops, sharing the warmth of sun-baked tiles. In the wild, resting in numbers is a survival tactic. More eyes to spot danger, more bodies to intimidate potential threats. The locations birds choose for rest are anything but random. They are often selected based on safety, temperature, and visibility. In hotter climates or seasons, birds will seek out cool, shaded areas. They may rest under the thick canopy of leaves, within hedges, in the shadowed eaves of buildings, or beside streams and ponds. Species that nest in cavities or burrows may retreat to these cooler, protected spots during the hottest hours of the day. In colder regions or during winter mornings, birds often do the opposite. They sun themselves. Perched on exposed branches, they'll turn their backs to the sun, fluff out their feathers to trap warmth, and sometimes even droop their wings slightly to allow more surface area to absorb heat. Some birds, such as mourning doves and robins, have been seen entering a kind of half-sleep during these sunbathing sessions, eyes closing for seconds at a time while their bodies soak in the energy. And while true sleep for birds most often occurs at night, there are brief naps taken during the day, especially for species that feel secure or are particularly tired. Birds have a unique ability called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, which allows them to rest one half of their brain while the other remains alert. This means that even while seemingly asleep, one eye may remain open, scanning for predators or disturbances. Waterfowl and shorebirds, for example, may sleep in rows, with the birds on the ends keeping one eye open toward the outer world, switching roles throughout the day. For nesting birds, rest might look different altogether. A female incubating eggs spends large parts of her day motionless, covering the clutch with her body heat. She may remain like this for hours at a time, occasionally shifting slightly to reposition or turn the eggs. While this stillness may appear restful, it's actually a demanding form of vigilance, keeping the eggs warm, safe, and undisturbed. Male birds in these species may take brief turns or remain nearby, standing guard and using this midday period to recover from morning activity. Birds caring for fledglings, chicks that have left the nest but are not yet fully independent, may perch nearby during these breaks. These parents rest in brief moments between feeding trips, always watching their young as they stumble through branches or beg loudly from cover. The demands of parenting in the bird world are relentless, and these small breaks are crucial for survival, not just for the chicks, but for the exhausted parents trying to raise them. During molting season, when birds shed old feathers and grow new ones, rest becomes even more essential. The body devotes huge amounts of energy to growing new plumage. Flying during this time is more taxing, and many birds reduce their activity to conserve energy. A molting bird may look scruffier, less sleek, its feathers patchy, its movements slower. These birds are especially vulnerable, so mid-morning rest becomes both recovery time and a strategy for minimizing exposure. In migratory species, rest during the day is part of a larger rhythm. Birds that travel thousands of miles each year may time their resting periods based on energy needs, weather patterns, and internal clocks. Some migrants fly at night and rest during the day. Others move during the morning and pause during the hottest parts of the afternoon. These resting points are often critical stopovers, safe places to regain strength before continuing their epic journeys. And for birds that live among humans, rest takes on an entirely different challenge. Urban environments are full of stimuli, sudden noises, unpredictable movement, flashing lights, and predators like cats or hawks. City birds must choose their resting places carefully, tucked under awnings, behind signs, in ivy-covered walls, or on ledges high above the streets. These moments of stillness are briefer and more interrupted, but no less vital. So while it may look like birds are simply sitting still or doing nothing, the truth is far more complex. Rest is a crucial part of their daily survival, a pause that allows them to gather strength, repair their bodies, monitor their world, and prepare for the next phase of activity. It's a balancing act between vulnerability and recovery, alertness and calm. When we walk past a quiet bird perched on a branch, we might think it's idle or bored. But in that stillness, there's focus, there's intention, there's wisdom. The kind of deep, evolutionary knowledge that says, energy is precious and timing is everything. In the life of a bird, even resting is part of the dance. As the sun climbs higher into the sky and the heat of the day reaches its peak, the world begins to slow. Shadows shorten, insects buzz more lazily, and the atmosphere feels thick and still. For birds, this is not just a time of discomfort, it's a time of decision. The midday hours bring unique challenges, and different species respond in different ways depending on their size, habitat, diet, and lifestyle. While some seek shelter and rest, others remain active, especially those with specific tasks to complete or energy to burn. The most immediate issue birds face during midday is heat. Unlike mammals, birds don't have sweat glands. They can't cool themselves down by perspiring, so they rely on other behaviors to regulate their temperature. One of the most noticeable is panting. Just like dogs, Many birds will open their beaks slightly and rapidly move air over their moist throat tissues to promote evaporative cooling. This is called gular fluttering, a subtle, rapid vibration of the thin skin under the beak and neck area, especially common in doves, herons, and cormorants. You may see a perched bird with its beak wide open, throat quivering gently, and wings slightly drooped away from its body. This isn't illness or exhaustion, it's air conditioning. To avoid the worst of the sun, many birds practice what's known as microhabitat selection. They shift into shady, cooler parts of their environment. Thick bushes, the undersides of leaves, beneath rocks, into burrows, or even into buildings. In forests, birds may descend to the cooler understory, away from the exposed canopy. In deserts, they seek refuge in small crevices, underneath cacti, or in the narrow shade lines cast by boulders or shrubs. In cities, they tuck into the shadowed sides of street signs, building cornices, gutters, and ledges, often changing position as the angle of the sun shifts throughout the afternoon. Some species, especially larger-bodied birds like hawks, vultures, and crows, take advantage of thermals, rising columns of warm air, that form during these hours. These birds often wait for the heat to build before becoming fully active. Once the thermals rise, they take flight with minimal effort, soaring for miles with scarcely a flap of their wings. Turkey vultures and red-tailed hawks may seem to float effortlessly in broad, slow circles high above the ground. This is not aimless. They're scanning the land for movement, scent, or prey, all while letting the atmosphere do the heavy lifting. Midday is also the time when many water birds become more active. The reflective surface of a pond or stream can be brutal in full sun, but the water itself remains relatively cool. Wading birds like egrets and herons may step quietly along the shallows, eyes fixed, spearing fish or frogs with lightning-fast strikes. Ducks paddle beneath overhanging willows or forage at the muddy edges for aquatic plants and invertebrates. Kingfishers perch on exposed branches, scanning the water's surface, diving straight down with a dramatic splash when a fish comes within range. Insectivorous birds often find midday less rewarding. Many insects retreat during the hottest part of the day, becoming less active, harder to catch, or moving deeper into cover. As a result, birds like warblers, swallows, and flycatchers may rest or redirect their efforts. Some switch to foraging in the shadows, picking insects off leaves or bark instead of chasing them through the air. Others rely on memory, returning to reliable spots where insects gather, around compost piles, dripping taps, or blooming flowers. But not all birds slow down during midday. Nesting birds, in particular, don't get the luxury of a break. Parents with chicks in the nest, or recently fledged young, may be constantly on the move. They dart back and forth with food, remove waste from the nest to keep it clean, and stand guard against threats. In many species, both parents share these duties, taking turns while the other rests or forages. The midday heat only makes the job more demanding, but the urgency of raising young overrides the discomfort. A chick's growth is rapid and constant. Every few minutes counts, and every mouthful of food helps. There's also a fascinating behavior known as anting, which tends to happen during calmer, warmer parts of the day. Some birds, including jays, thrushes, and woodpeckers, will either actively pick up ants and rub them into their feathers, or they'll lie down on a trail of ants and let the insects crawl over them. The purpose of this isn't fully understood, but it's believed that formic acid secreted by the ants may help deter parasites or soothe skin irritations. It's a form of self-care, spa day, bird style, and it often coincides with these quieter, warmer midday hours. In addition to anting, Many birds take this time for dust bathing or water bathing. A dust bath may seem counterintuitive. Why get dirty? But it actually helps birds keep their feathers in prime condition. Dust absorbs excess oil and helps dislodge parasites like mites and lice. You might see a bird, especially in drier environments, find a patch of soft soil, flop onto its side, and kick up dust with its wings while wriggling back and forth. Afterward, it will shake out the excess and often follow up with a grooming session. Water bathing works in a similar way, cleaning feathers and skin, and can also help lower body temperature. Birds will splash vigorously in shallow puddles, streams, or even bird baths in backyards. Afterwards, they perch in the sun or shade and begin to preen, using their beaks to align feathers, remove dirt, and spread protective oil from a special gland near the base of their tail. This oil helps keep feathers flexible and water-resistant, which is essential not only for flight, but for temperature regulation as well. Meanwhile, social species like starlings or sparrows may gather in groups to rest or preen together. These mini-flocks often perch quietly in shady hedges or tree canopies, taking turns with grooming or soft vocalizations. This midday socializing can help reinforce group cohesion, and birds may exchange gentle contact calls, short, friendly notes that reassure one another of their presence. Even in the most intense heat, life doesn't stop. Birds adapt in small but ingenious ways, opening their beaks, raising their wings to vent heat, changing posture to minimize sun exposure, moving only when necessary. Some even change their daily schedules entirely. In desert environments, species like roadrunners or certain doves will do most of their active feeding early in the morning and late in the afternoon, essentially vanishing from view during the midday inferno. Others, such as nighthawks and porwills, avoid the heat altogether by becoming crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, or even fully nocturnal. From the outside, a summer afternoon might seem like a lull in bird activity. The forest may appear quiet, the fields still, the skies empty. But that pause is an illusion. Beneath the silence is a complex ballet of survival, balancing effort and rest, sun and shade, hunger and caution. Birds that thrive during midday have found ways to beat the heat, or even harness it, turning what seems like dead time into opportunity. In this harsh, high-sun world, every movement is calculated. Every shadow is precious. Every gust of wind is a blessing. And for those of us watching closely, midday offers one of the most intimate views of avian life. Birds stripped down to the basics, managing heat, conserving energy, feeding chicks, staying clean, and navigating the edges of exhaustion with astonishing grace. It is in these quietest hours that birds reveal their deepest instinct, not just to fly or sing or feed, but to endure. As the relentless heat of midday gradually eases, something begins to stir. The shadows grow longer, the light softens, and the land begins to breathe again. In this transition between the stillness of the afternoon and the golden promise of evening, birds enter what many call the second peak of daily activity, a time of revival, preparation, and quiet urgency. Much like the early morning, the late afternoon offers a window of opportunity, and birds seize it with grace and precision. The change is subtle at first. A distant trill, a flutter of wings, the return of birdsong that had faded in the midday silence. Insect-eating birds like swallows, swifts, and flycatchers take to the air again, weaving effortlessly through the cooling sky. The late afternoon air, now more stable and comfortable, supports a renewed flurry of insect activity. Small flies, beetles, and mosquitoes rise from the grasses and hedgerows, offering a final feast before the sun disappears. Birds that had spent the hottest hours perched in shade now emerge to exploit this brief but rich foraging window. For many species, the late afternoon is not only about feeding, it's about making up for lost time. Birds are constantly balancing the need to fuel their bodies with the need to avoid overheating or exposing themselves to danger. Now that the temperature is more manageable and the light still strong, they have a narrow but crucial window to complete the day's work. Whether that means gathering food, defending territory, feeding chicks, or finding a safe place to roost, everything must be done before darkness falls. This time is especially vital for those raising young. Parent birds, particularly those feeding nestlings or fledglings, often ramp up their efforts in the late afternoon. They return to the same berry-laden bush, again and again, dive into patches of weeds to flush out grasshoppers, or hover at flowers for a final collection of nectar. The food brought back now may help chicks grow just a little more before nightfall, ensuring they survive the vulnerable nighttime hours when temperatures drop and predation risk increases. Meanwhile, birds that had been quietly digesting or resting during the middle of the day now begin to preen again, adjusting feathers with careful, rhythmic movements. This isn't vanity, it's maintenance. The feathers must be realigned for optimal insulation and flight performance. Loose barbs are smoothed, dirt removed, parasites dislodged, and protective oil redistributed from the uropygial gland at the base of the tail. This gland produces an oily substance that helps waterproof feathers and keep them flexible, particularly important for birds who might encounter dew or rain during the night. In territorial species, late afternoon can also be a final round of vocal display. A male cardinal may take a high perch and sing as the light turns orange and gold, reasserting ownership of his space. A robin may deliver its soft, flute-like phrases in a calm but persistent loop, marking its boundaries one last time before dusk. These twilight songs have a different tone from the bold, energetic calls of the morning. They're more reflective, a final signature on the day's canvas, a gentle assertion of presence. Many flocking species begin to regroup around this time. Starlings gather on telephone wires, chirping softly and shifting position, signaling the approach of their communal roosting time. Blackbirds, crows, and grackles may start assembling in large, noisy groups, staging a kind of pre-roost ritual. They chatter, squabble, chase one another, and fly in short bursts from one tree to the next. These gatherings may appear chaotic, but they serve important social and logistical purposes, strengthening flock cohesion, establishing pecking order, and helping individuals locate the safest overnight roosts. Some of the most captivating bird behavior occurs during this pre-dusk window. Take the aerial displays of chimney swifts, which begin to swirl above rooftops in ever-tightening spirals before funneling down into chimneys where they roost in tight, clinging clusters. Or the haunting silhouettes of nighthawks, slender birds with long, pointed wings, diving through the air with deep, booming whooshes made by their wings as they catch insects on the wing. These are not just feeding flights. They're full of rhythm, pattern, and instinct, beautifully tuned to the falling light. Birds of prey also take advantage of this time. Raptors that had spent the heat of midday perched and scanning from above may now begin to hunt again. The golden hour provides ideal conditions, enough light to see clearly, cooler air for sustained flight, and active prey. A kestrel may hover over a field, watching for the twitch of a mouse tail or the scurry of a beetle. An owl, one of the first to awaken, may silently emerge from a hollow tree and begin its twilight patrol, ghosting through the woods on wings designed for silence. Not all birds are returning to activity, though. Some are winding down, preparing for rest. Doves and pigeons may find secure roosting spots on branches or ledges and begin fluffing their feathers, settling into the final posture they will hold overnight. Woodpeckers tap softly at tree bark, seeking an insect or two before slipping into a cavity. Wrens may begin chattering from the underbrush, calling to mates or young as they reconvene before night. The ritual of choosing a roost is one of the most important decisions a bird makes each day. A poor choice can mean exposure to cold, wind, or predators. Birds choose their roosting spots based on shelter, elevation, temperature, and safety from ground-based threats. Small songbirds often tuck themselves into dense shrubs, ivy-covered walls, or beneath eaves, minimizing their exposure. Tree-dwelling birds may perch close to the trunk, where warmth radiates and the wind is less severe. Ground-nesting species may return to depressions in the earth, covering themselves with dry grass or leaves. For birds that migrate, the late afternoon may also be the time when movement begins. Many long-distance migrants fly at night, using the cover of darkness to avoid predators and navigate by the stars. Just as the sun dips below the horizon, these birds begin to stir. Their bodies are already primed. Fat stores are full, wings are prepped, muscles warmed. And when the sky darkens, they take off. It happens quietly and often unnoticed by us. Warblers lifting from treetops, shorebirds departing from mudflats, thrushes heading north or south in silence, guided by ancient maps imprinted in their brains. And then, just before true dusk, the light bathes the world in amber. This is when the land seems to exhale, the wind calms, the noise fades. And for birds, whether they are settling down or rising up, it is a moment of transition, a time of reflection, urgency, and instinct. Every wingbeat now carries meaning. Every chirp is a message. Every shadow is measured. To the human eye, this might seem like a peaceful close to the day. But to a bird, the late afternoon is a final act of purpose. A chance to find food, regroup, sing, fly, protect, prepare, and for some, begin an entirely new journey. It is a time of grace, wrapped in routine. A time when the avian world, so often overlooked in the buzz of human life, reveals its quiet wisdom. Know the rhythm of light, trust the pattern of time, and move with the day before it slips away. As the sun dips below the horizon and the sky shifts from soft orange to deepening blue, the avian world enters a new, often hidden phase of activity. For many birds, this is the time to seek out shelter and settle in for the night. The term roosting may sound simple. A bird resting on a branch, eyes closed, feathers fluffed. But in truth, roosting is a complex, carefully calculated behavior that balances safety, warmth, weather, and social dynamics. It's not just sleep, it's survival. Each species has its own strategies, preferences, and rituals when it comes to roosting. These have evolved over millennia to address different environmental challenges, predators, climates, and even personalities. For some birds, roosting is a solitary act. For others, it's a deeply social experience. But for nearly all, the choice of where and how to roost can mean the difference between life and death. Let's begin with location. Birds are extremely sensitive to the dangers of nighttime. Predators like owls, snakes, raccoons, foxes, and even domestic cats become more active under the cover of darkness. So birds must be strategic. Many small songbirds prefer to roost high up in dense foliage where their silhouette is broken up by leaves and branches. They tuck themselves deep into shrubs, conifers, or thick vines, often choosing locations close to the trunk where they're better protected from wind and cold. Some species seek the security of cavities, holes in trees, crevices in cliffs, or even nooks in human-made structures, like barn rafters, nest boxes, or drain pipes. Woodpeckers, chickadees, bluebirds, and nuthatches are among those that will roost inside tree cavities, sometimes alone, sometimes communally. These enclosed spaces offer more stable temperatures and better defense from predators. In cities, birds like pigeons or sparrows find similar safety in building ledges, bridge beams, or even ventilation grates. Larger birds, such as herons, hawks, and crows, tend to roost in trees or on cliffs. While they're more conspicuous than smaller birds, their size gives them an edge. Fewer predators are bold enough to risk an attack. These birds often roost higher up and in more open perches, allowing them to detect danger and take off quickly if necessary. Then there are the communal roosters, birds that gather in large flocks at night, often in the hundreds or thousands. European starlings, blackbirds, crows, and swallows are among the most famous for this behavior. These gatherings begin with a staging process. Small groups form in nearby trees or power lines, calling and jostling, before flying in to merge with the larger roost. This convergence can be a spectacular sight, especially when performed in murmuration, the swirling, shape-shifting flight patterns of thousands of birds moving as one. Why do so many birds roost in groups? There are several reasons. Safety in numbers is key. A larger group means more eyes to spot predators and more confusion for any attacker. Additionally, communal roosts retain warmth better during cold nights. In winter, birds like blue tits or tree creepers may huddle tightly together in roosting clusters, conserving body heat and sharing warmth, a behavior known as communal thermoregulation. Social bonding also plays a role. In flocking species, roosting together helps reinforce social hierarchies and maintain group cohesion. Young birds learn where and how to roost by watching adults. Birds that forage together by day often sleep near each other by night, keeping communication lines open and strengthening community knowledge, like where the best food or safest shelter can be found. For migratory birds, nighttime may not be a time for roosting at all. It may be a time to fly. Many species migrate by night, taking advantage of cooler temperatures, calmer winds, and reduced predator presence. These nocturnal migrants include warblers, thrushes, sparrows, and even shorebirds. Just after sunset, they launch into the air from their daytime hiding places and begin their journey across continents. Guided by the stars, the Earth's magnetic field, and innate internal compasses, they travel under the cover of darkness, stopping to rest and feed during the day. This nightly migration is largely invisible to humans, but with the right conditions, you can sometimes hear their high-pitched flight calls in the darkness, or see their silhouettes crossing in front of the moon. As birds settle in for the night, their bodies begin to shift into a different metabolic state. Their heart rate slows, body temperature drops slightly, and they enter a state of restful alertness. Birds don't sleep like humans do. They remain semi-aware of their surroundings, often sleeping with one eye open and one hemisphere of the brain awake. This ability, called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, allows them to rest while still being alert to danger. Ducks, for example, are known to line up in groups, with the birds on the ends keeping one eye open toward the outside world, while the inner birds rest more deeply. Even in sleep, birds don't let their guard down entirely. Some species change position throughout the night to track the movement of the moon or wind direction. Others fluff up their feathers to trap warm air close to their skin, creating an insulating layer. Birds like wrens or goldfinches will roost belly down on a branch, their feet locking in place so they won't fall even if they're completely asleep. This foot-locking mechanism is involuntary and relies on the bird's tendons. When a bird squats on a perch, its tendons automatically tighten, ensuring a secure grip. Weather plays a significant role in roosting behavior as well. During stormy or especially cold nights, birds may delay sleep, eat more just before dusk, or choose deeper, more insulated roosts. Some species, such as chickadees, lower their body temperature significantly during cold nights in a controlled state of torpor, a sort of temporary hibernation that conserves energy when food is scarce and nights are long. This behavior allows them to survive in northern climates where temperatures can plummet far below freezing. Light pollution is another modern factor influencing bird roosting. Artificial light can disrupt natural circadian rhythms, delay the onset of sleep, or confuse migratory routes. Birds in urban environments often adjust their roosting times, with some species staying active longer into the evening or beginning their morning activity earlier than their rural counterparts. Despite the challenges, birds have developed an incredible range of roosting adaptations. From the tiniest hummingbird tucked beneath a leaf, to a dozen barn swallows lined along a wire, to thousands of starlings huddled in a winter tree. The end-of-day ritual of roosting is one of the most universal and vital behaviors in the avian world. To the casual observer, a bird settling into a tree at dusk might seem like a quiet, unremarkable act. But behind that simplicity lies a series of instinctive calculations, responses to light and temperature and sound, honed by millions of years of evolution. Roosting is not just the pause before tomorrow. It's the final chapter of today, a moment of closure, a breath before darkness, a signal that for now, the work is done. As darkness finally blankets the landscape and most birds have tucked themselves away for the night, a different world begins to stir. While many species rely on the safety and stillness of roosting, others come alive under the moon and stars. These are the night birds, mysterious, often misunderstood, and perfectly adapted to thrive when the world sleeps. Their presence is subtle, sometimes eerie, and often invisible to human eyes. But their nocturnal lives are filled with purpose, beauty, and astonishing skill. Among the most iconic of these nighttime specialists are owls. These birds have captured human imagination for millennia, seen as symbols of wisdom, mystery, or even death in different cultures. But behind the mythology is a highly evolved predator. Owls are masters of the night, equipped with a suite of biological adaptations that allow them to hunt, navigate, and communicate in near-complete darkness. Their vision is perhaps their most famous trait. Owl eyes are enormous in proportion to their heads, so large, in fact, that they are fixed in their sockets and cannot move like ours do. Instead, owls rotate their entire heads to look around, with up to 270 degrees of motion in either direction. Their retinas contain a dense layer of rod cells, the photoreceptors most sensitive to low light, allowing them to detect the faintest movement in the dimmest conditions. While not exactly night vision, as in sci-fi films, their ability to see in the dark is among the best in the bird world. But vision alone isn't enough. Sound is the real secret weapon of many nocturnal birds. Owls possess extraordinary hearing, aided by the asymmetrical placement of their ears, one ear higher than the other, which allows them to pinpoint the direction and distance of a sound with uncanny precision. They can detect the tiniest rustle of a mouse under leaves, the squeak of a vole beneath snow, or even the heartbeat of a small mammal. Combined with silent flight, thanks to uniquely fringed feathers that muffle the noise of their wing beats, owls strike with lethal stealth, a ghost in the night. Yet owls are not the only birds active after sundown. Nightjars, including whip-poor wills and common nighthawks, are cryptic, insect-eating birds that come alive at dusk. Their mottled plumage blends perfectly with forest floors or rocky outcrops, making them nearly invisible by day. But when darkness falls, they launch into flight, snatching moths, beetles, and other flying insects in mid-air, using their wide, gaping mouths. Their calls, repetitive, mechanical, and haunting, echo through woodlands and open fields on summer nights, a reminder that bird life does not sleep just because we do. Another fascinating group of nocturnal birds is the kiwis of New Zealand. These flightless, shy birds use their long, sensitive beaks to probe the forest floor for worms and insects. Kiwis have poor eyesight, but heightened senses of smell and touch, an unusual trait among birds. They rely on these senses to forage in the dark, avoiding predators and human disturbances. Their nocturnal habits are a perfect adaptation to their island ecosystems that evolved with few mammalian predators before humans arrived. In tropical regions, the oilbird and various species of cave-dwelling swiftlets present some of the most unusual nighttime behaviors in the avian world. These birds roost in caves so dark that no natural light ever reaches inside. To navigate these pitch-black spaces, they use echolocation, emitting clicks and interpreting the echoes to detect obstacles and locate their nests. Though not as sophisticated as a bat's sonar, it is astonishing that birds have independently evolved this ability at all. Oilbirds, true to their name, were once hunted for the high-fat oil in their bodies, but they are now recognized as one of the world's most unique and important nocturnal seed dispersers, helping maintain rainforest diversity. In open deserts, nocturnal sandgrouse take advantage of cooler night temperatures to travel long distances for water. By dawn, the males have often soaked their belly feathers in water and return to their chicks, who drink directly from the feathers. These nighttime journeys allow the birds to avoid the harsh desert heat and predators active during the day. In a similar way, many shorebirds, like plovers and sandpipers, migrate at night, feeding and resting in the cool darkness on their way to and from breeding grounds. The rhythm of their flight is synchronized with the stars, magnetic fields, and internal lunar clocks. Some seabirds, such as storm petrels and shearwaters, also exhibit strong nocturnal tendencies. They spend most of their lives at sea, but when it's time to breed, they come ashore under cover of darkness to reduce predation risk. On remote islands, colonies of hundreds of thousands of these birds may return to nest only after nightfall. Their eerie cries fill the black sky, and their activity is entirely invisible unless illuminated by moonlight or a flashlight. A reminder that the most dramatic bird activity often happens out of human sight. Even among more familiar birds, some individuals show surprising nighttime behaviors. Robins, for example, are known to sing at night in urban areas where artificial light confuses their circadian rhythms. In cities, one might hear birds calling at 2:00 or 3:00 a.m., fooled by street lamps into believing dawn has come. This behavior, though not traditionally nocturnal, reveals how adaptable birds can be, and how human development continues to influence their patterns in unpredictable ways. And while many birds sleep through the night, their rest is rarely uninterrupted. The cover of darkness brings a unique set of dangers, and some species stir briefly in response to sound, weather, or threat. A rustle in the bushes, a sudden drop in temperature, or the approach of a predator may trigger a shift in position or even a brief flight to another roost. This state of partial alertness ensures that even in their most vulnerable state, birds are never entirely defenseless. Throughout the world, birds that thrive at night show us that life after dark is anything but quiet. It is filled with whispering wings, ghostly silhouettes, soft hoots, strange songs, and swift, silent strikes. The avian world never truly sleeps, it simply shifts form. The bright flurry of daytime foragers gives way to the shadows of hunters, wanderers, and singers under the stars. To truly understand birds, we must look not only at what they do in daylight, but also what happens when the sun sets. Their lives continue in the quiet hours, complex, hidden, and just as vital. Nighttime is not an ending. It is simply another chapter in the story of the day, one that plays out in shadows and moonlight, written in soft wing beats and ancient instincts. As night deepens, many birds enter their period of rest, yet this time is far from uniform or simple. Sleep for birds is a complex and fascinating behavior that balances rest with the constant need for vigilance. Unlike humans, birds have evolved unique adaptations that allow them to rest deeply while still maintaining awareness of their surroundings, a crucial skill for survival in a world full of predators and environmental challenges. Bird sleep differs in structure and function from mammalian sleep in several key ways. Most notably, birds engage in what is known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, USWS, a remarkable neurological phenomenon in which one half of the brain sleeps while the other half remains awake and alert. This allows birds to rest one side of their brain at a time, maintaining a degree of awareness to respond to threats. This adaptation is especially useful when birds roost in exposed locations where immediate reaction to danger could mean the difference between life and death. In practice, a bird in USWS will often keep one eye open, usually the eye opposite the awake hemisphere of the brain, scanning for movement or potential predators. For example, ducks resting in groups will often arrange themselves so that the birds on the edges keep an eye facing outward, protecting the inner group members who can rest more deeply. This cooperative vigilance is an elegant example of social behavior intertwined with sleep physiology. Beyond USWS, birds also experience periods of bilateral slow-wave sleep, where both hemispheres of the brain rest simultaneously, and rapid eye movement, REM sleep, associated with dreaming and memory consolidation. REM sleep in birds is generally shorter and less frequent than in mammals, but is thought to play a similarly important role in cognitive function and learning. Sleep timing and duration vary widely among bird species, influenced by factors such as habitat, predation risk, and social structure. Diurnal birds, those active during the day, typically sleep during the night hours, though this sleep is often fragmented by short, wakeful periods to check the environment. Nocturnal species, such as owls, naturally invert this pattern. Some birds, especially those in extreme environments like the Arctic Circle, may adapt their sleep cycles dramatically during periods of continuous daylight or darkness, balancing the need for rest with the constraints imposed by their habitat. Environmental factors play a significant role in shaping birds' sleep. Weather conditions, temperature, moonlight, and the presence of predators all influence how, where, and when birds sleep. On cold nights, many species fluff their feathers to trap insulating air, reducing heat loss. Some may huddle together for warmth, while others seek the shelter of dense foliage or tree cavities. Rain or strong winds can delay sleep onset, as birds remain alert to changing conditions. Predation risk remains the most significant driver of sleep behavior. Small songbirds are especially vulnerable and employ various strategies to minimize danger. Many select roosting sites that offer physical barriers or camouflage to avoid detection. Others choose locations near noisy or aggressive species, using their presence as an early warning system. In some species, individuals may stagger their sleep patterns within a group, ensuring that at any given moment, some birds remain partially alert. Birds also face the challenge of maintaining energy balance while sleeping. Unlike mammals, birds have a very high metabolism and need to replenish energy stores daily. Their sleep patterns often reflect the need to balance rest with feeding opportunities. Migratory species, for instance, may reduce total sleep time before and during long flights, compensating with brief rest periods on the wing or at stopovers. One of the most fascinating sleep-related behaviors in birds is torpor, a state of reduced metabolic rate and lowered body temperature that helps conserve energy during cold or food-scarce conditions. While torpor is more common in small mammals, some bird species, such as hummingbirds and chickadees, enter torpor nightly or during extreme conditions. This allows them to survive periods when their energy demands would otherwise exceed intake. During torpor, brain activity decreases, heart rate slows, and respiration becomes shallow, resembling a very deep sleep or light hibernation. The positioning birds adopt during sleep is another area of remarkable adaptation. Many birds tuck their heads under a wing to conserve heat and shield their face from wind. Some perch on one leg, using a tendon locking mechanism to grip securely without muscular effort, preventing falls during deep sleep. Ground roosting birds may fluff their feathers extensively or cover themselves with vegetation to remain hidden and insulated. Despite the need for rest, birds remain extraordinarily sensitive to their surroundings, even in sleep. Sounds, vibrations, changes in light, or the scent of a predator can rouse them instantly. This acute sensitivity is crucial given the many nocturnal predators that hunt birds at night, including owls, mammals, and snakes. Evolution has shaped birds' sleep patterns to be both restorative and responsive, striking a delicate balance between vulnerability and survival. From a scientific perspective, studying bird sleep offers fascinating insights into neurobiology and evolution. Understanding unihemispheric sleep, for example, helps researchers explore how brains can function with such specialized control, potentially offering clues applicable to human sleep disorders, or even the development of technologies to reduce the effects of sleep deprivation. For birdwatchers and naturalists, observing birds at rest can be a reminder of the extraordinary adaptations animals evolve to survive in diverse environments. A seemingly simple image of a bird, quietly perched, eyes half closed, feathers fluffed, reveals a dynamic process of ongoing vigilance, environmental interaction, and biological necessity. Ultimately, bird sleep is a testament to nature's ingenuity, a finely tuned orchestration of rest, alertness, energy management, and protection that allows these remarkable creatures to greet each new day ready to sing, forage, migrate, and thrive. As dawn breaks and the first light of day begins to spread across the landscape, birds everywhere start to stir, transitioning from the restful stillness of night to the vibrant activity of daylight hours. This early morning period is one of the most important and energetic times in a bird's daily cycle, setting the tone for feeding, social interactions, territory defense, and communication that will unfold throughout the day. The sunrise chorus, often called the dawn chorus, is a spectacular natural symphony where birds fill the air with song, calls, and other vocalizations, creating an auditory landscape that signals the start of a new day. Birds are among the earliest risers in the animal kingdom, often waking well before the sun is fully up. Their internal biological clocks, or circadian rhythms, are finely tuned to changes in light intensity and quality. Even the faintest glow of twilight triggers hormonal changes that prepare birds for activity. Melatonin levels drop as dawn approaches, signaling the brain to wake up and the body to become more alert. This physiological preparation is crucial, as many birds begin their day with a burst of activity that requires precision, agility, and coordination. One of the most striking features of morning bird behavior is the dawn chorus itself. Male birds of many species are the primary singers during this time, using their songs to advertise territory, attract mates, and communicate fitness. The chorus typically starts quietly with a few individuals, then rapidly builds in intensity and volume, often reaching its peak just as the sun rises. Each species has its own unique song, and the layering of different calls creates a rich and complex soundscape. This early morning singing serves multiple purposes. It marks boundaries, deters rivals, and reinforces social bonds within populations. The timing and duration of the dawn chorus vary widely depending on species, habitat, and environmental factors. In dense forests, songs may carry farther and last longer, whereas in open fields or urban areas, the chorus might be shorter or less coordinated. Weather conditions also influence singing behavior. On calm, clear mornings, the chorus tends to be louder and more prolonged, while heavy rain or wind can suppress it. Some birds are even known to synchronize their singing to the songs of neighboring species, creating remarkable interspecific communication networks. Beyond singing, early morning is a prime time for foraging. Birds have overnight fasting needs and require energy to fuel their morning activities. Insects, seeds, nectar, fruits, and small animals become targets of intense search and feeding. Species with specialized diets may emerge at slightly different times to optimize resource use and reduce competition. For example, insectivorous birds, like warblers and flycatchers, are often among the first to start actively hunting, taking advantage of the cool morning temperatures and the sluggishness of their prey. Water sources also become focal points in the early day. Many birds visit ponds, streams, or bird baths to drink and bathe. Bathing serves an important role beyond hygiene. It helps remove parasites, cleanse feathers, and refreshes the bird for the day ahead. After bathing, birds typically spend time preening, carefully aligning their feathers, spreading oil from a gland near the tail to maintain waterproofing, and ensuring that their plumage is in optimal condition for flight and insulation. Social interactions in the early morning extend beyond singing and feeding. Birds engage in courtship displays, territorial disputes, and flock formation. For many species, dawn is a time when mates reunite, offspring begin to beg for food, and group members communicate plans for the day's movements. Some species may also engage in playful behaviors during these early hours, strengthening social bonds and honing skills that will be crucial for survival. The early morning also holds risks. Predators that hunt by sight take advantage of the increasing light, so birds must remain vigilant even as they feed and interact. Birds use alarm calls and watchful glances to stay aware of threats from hawks, cats, snakes, and even humans. The trade-off between foraging to replenish energy and avoiding danger is a constant balancing act. Throughout the morning, temperature and light levels gradually rise, influencing bird activity. Many species ramp up their movements, taking longer flights to forage over wider areas, engaging in nest building or maintenance, and caring for their young. By mid-morning, the initial burst of intense activity typically slows as temperatures peak and food becomes more scarce or difficult to find, leading birds to seek shade or quieter resting spots during the heat of the day. For migratory birds, early morning may be the start of long journeys or crucial stopovers. Many migratory species use dawn light to navigate, orienting themselves using the position of the sun and landmarks. They often fuel their flights with intensive morning feeding sessions to build fat reserves needed for sustained flight. These behaviors make dawn an especially critical period for survival during migration seasons. Urban birds have adapted their dawn routines in response to human activity. Artificial lighting, noise pollution, and altered food availability change how and when city birds sing, feed, and move. Some urban species begin their dawn chorus earlier than rural counterparts, taking advantage of streetlights and warmer microclimates. These shifts demonstrate birds' remarkable ability to adjust their behavior to changing environments. In essence, dawn represents a moment of transition and renewal for birds. It is a time of awakening, opportunity, and communication that impacts every aspect of their lives. From the vibrant songs that echo across fields and forests to the first flights in search of food, the early morning is where the daily rhythm of avian life is set in motion. Observing this time closely reveals the intricate connections between biology, behavior, and environment that sustain birds and enrich our natural world. Birds are extraordinary architects, investing incredible energy, time, and skill into building nests that protect their eggs and young from predators, weather, and other hazards. Nest building is not a simple or uniform behavior. It varies widely across species in terms of materials used, construction techniques, location, and complexity. Each nest is a unique structure tailored to the needs of its builder and its environment, reflecting an evolutionary history shaped by survival and reproductive success. The process begins with site selection, a critical decision that influences the safety and success of the entire breeding effort. Birds use a remarkable array of strategies to choose where they will build their nests, taking into account factors such as proximity to food sources, predator presence, shelter from the elements, and the risk of flooding or other environmental dangers. Some species prefer high tree branches far from ground predators, while others opt for dense shrubs, cliffs, burrows, or even man-made structures. Ground nesting birds might select well-camouflaged spots among grasses or rocks. The location often reflects a trade-off between accessibility and protection, balanced by the bird's size, behavior, and predator community. Once a site is chosen, the real craftsmanship begins. Birds gather a diverse palette of materials to construct their nests, utilizing everything from twigs, leaves, grasses, moss, and feathers to mud, spider silk, animal hair, and even human debris like string, plastic, or paper. Some species are meticulous collectors, gathering materials from specific plants or locations, while others are opportunistic, using what is immediately available. The choice of materials is crucial. They must provide insulation, structural support, and camouflage, while being lightweight enough to transport and assemble. The construction techniques are equally diverse and impressive. Some birds, like weaver birds, are renowned for their intricate woven nests, where strands of grass or palm fronds are expertly interlaced to create strong, hanging baskets that swing from branches. These nests can take days or weeks to complete, requiring the bird to exhibit remarkable dexterity and problem-solving ability. Other species, such as swallows, use mud pellets mixed with saliva to form compact, cup-shaped nests attached to vertical surfaces like cliffs or buildings. The stick nests of raptors and crows can be massive, sturdy platforms that endure for years and are reused season after season. Many birds incorporate soft materials into the nest lining to provide a cozy, insulating chamber for eggs and chicks. Feathers, fur, down, lichens, and plant fibers create a cushioned environment that helps maintain the ideal temperature and humidity for embryo development. In some species, the female meticulously arranges the lining, smoothing it into a neat cup, demonstrating remarkable care and precision. Nest construction is a demanding activity that requires not only physical effort, but also behavioral flexibility. Birds must navigate environmental challenges such as wind, rain, and predation risk while building. Some species work cooperatively, with both parents or even extended family members contributing to the construction and maintenance of the nest. This shared investment strengthens pair bonds and increases the likelihood of reproductive success. In other species, the female alone builds the nest, while the male defends the territory and provides food. Throughout the breeding season, nests are often maintained and repaired. Birds remove parasites, refresh lining materials, and reinforce structural components. Some species are so attached to their nesting sites that they reuse them for multiple years, sometimes renovating or expanding the existing structure. Others abandon old nests to avoid the buildup of parasites or disease. Nest placement is also a strategic part of defense against predators. Many birds employ clever tactics to hide or protect their nests. Some build their nests in thorny bushes or dense vegetation that physically deters predators. Others choose inconspicuous sites or create false nests to confuse potential threats. Certain species even guard their nests aggressively, diving at intruders or employing distraction displays such as feigning injury to lure predators away. Interestingly, the design and location of nests can influence the behavior of the chicks as well. Some birds, like cavity nesters, rear their young in protected hollows or tree holes, which can offer safety from many predators, but also require chicks to develop different communication and feeding behaviors suited to enclosed spaces. Open cup nesters, by contrast, raise their young in exposed nests, leading to different anti-predator strategies such as quiet begging calls or rapid fledging to reduce vulnerability. The diversity of nests reflects the incredible adaptability of birds to their environments. From the tiniest hummingbird's delicate cup to the massive stick nests of eagles towering in treetops, each structure is a marvel of natural engineering. This ingenuity allows birds to reproduce successfully in a stunning range of habitats, from deserts and rainforests to urban centers and Arctic tundra. The study of bird nests also provides valuable insights into environmental health and biodiversity. Changes in nest materials or site selection can indicate shifts in habitat quality, pollution levels, or climate conditions. Nest monitoring programs are widely used by conservationists to track bird populations and their reproductive success, helping guide efforts to protect vulnerable species. For bird enthusiasts, discovering nests is an exciting window into the secret lives of birds. Observing the construction process, the choice of materials, and the careful care of eggs and chicks reveals a layer of behavior often hidden from casual view. Nests are not merely resting places. They are dynamic centers of life, growth, and survival. Ultimately, nest building is a remarkable expression of avian creativity and determination. It exemplifies how birds have evolved to meet the challenges of reproduction with solutions both practical and elegant. Through nests, birds connect with their environment, their mates, and their offspring in ways that ensure the continuation of their species. One twig, one feather, and one carefully crafted home at a time. When it comes to migration, birds embark on some of the most extraordinary journeys in the natural world, epic travels that span continents, oceans, and sometimes even hemispheres. These migrations are not random wanderings, but highly organized, genetically programmed movements that are critical for survival, reproduction, and accessing seasonal resources. The sheer scale and precision of bird migration have fascinated scientists, birdwatchers, and cultures for centuries, revealing incredible adaptations in physiology, navigation, behavior, and endurance. Bird migration is fundamentally driven by the need to exploit seasonal variations in climate and food availability. Many bird species breed in temperate or polar regions during the warmer months, where long daylight hours and abundant insects, plants, and other food sources support raising their young. As winter approaches and resources dwindle, these birds travel thousands of kilometers to warmer climates, where food remains plentiful and conditions are more hospitable. This cyclical movement ensures that birds can maximize their survival and reproductive success in different parts of the world throughout the year. The timing of migration is crucial and finely tuned by a combination of environmental cues and internal biological clocks. Changes in day length, temperature, and food availability signal to birds that it is time to prepare for departure. Hormonal changes triggered by these cues lead to behaviors like increased feeding, fat accumulation, and restlessness, known as Zuggenruhe, an anxious anticipation of flight. The accumulation of fat is especially important because it serves as fuel for the long flights ahead. Many migrating birds nearly double their body weight before embarking on their journeys. The routes that birds take during migration are often surprisingly consistent and can cover vast distances. Some species travel non-stop for hundreds or thousands of kilometers, while others take a more staged approach, stopping at key stopover sites to rest and refuel. These stopover locations are critical habitats, providing safe haven and abundant food during the grueling journey. For instance, shorebirds like the red knot undertake a migration spanning from the Arctic to the southern tip of South America, relying on specific estuaries and mudflats to replenish energy stores. Navigation during migration is one of the most remarkable aspects of bird behavior. Birds employ a suite of sophisticated orientation tools, including the position of the sun and stars, Earth's magnetic field, visual landmarks, and even olfactory cues. Young birds often rely on innate genetic programming for direction, while adults may use experience and learning to refine their routes. The magnetic sense, still not fully understood, involves specialized receptors that allow birds to detect the Earth's magnetic field and use it as a compass. Additionally, celestial navigation helps birds orient during night flights, using the star's position to stay on course. The physical demands of migration push birds to their limits. Flying thousands of kilometers without stopping requires extraordinary endurance, efficient energy use, and physiological adaptations. Many species have streamlined bodies, powerful flight muscles, and high metabolism rates optimized for sustained flight. During migration, birds may reduce the size of their digestive organs temporarily to save weight, reallocating resources to the flight muscles. Their respiratory and cardiovascular systems are highly efficient, supporting the intense oxygen demands of long-distance flight. Different species migrate in various ways, reflecting their size, wing shape, and ecological niche. Some birds, like swallows and warblers, perform rapid, continuous flights, covering vast distances with few stops. Others, such as waterfowl and raptors, often take advantage of soaring and thermal currents to conserve energy during their journeys. Certain seabirds undertake oceanic migrations, flying thousands of kilometers over open water with minimal opportunities to rest. These journeys require not only physical stamina, but also keen navigational skills and adaptability to changing weather conditions. Migration is not without risks and challenges. Birds face numerous hazards along their routes, including adverse weather, predation, habitat loss, and human-made obstacles such as buildings, wind turbines, and light pollution. Storms can disorient birds, forcing them off course or causing exhaustion. Loss of key stopover sites due to urbanization or agriculture threatens their ability to rest and refuel, making conservation efforts vital to protecting migratory populations. Predators may also exploit migratory birds, capitalizing on their vulnerability during flight or stopovers. In some cases, birds demonstrate remarkable flexibility in their migration strategies. Climate change and habitat alterations have led some species to adjust their timing, routes, or destinations. For example, some populations may shorten their migration distance or winter closer to breeding grounds if conditions allow. Others alter their departure dates to coincide better with food availability. This behavioral plasticity illustrates how migration is a dynamic process, continuously shaped by environmental pressures and opportunities. The social aspect of migration is also fascinating. Many birds migrate in flocks, which can improve navigation accuracy, reduce individual energy expenditure by taking advantage of aerodynamic formations like V-shaped flight patterns, and provide safety in numbers. Flocking behavior requires communication and coordination, enhancing the success of group migration. Some species also use vocalizations and visual cues to maintain group cohesion during long flights. The study of bird migration has benefited enormously from technological advances. Satellite tracking, geolocators, and radar have revealed detailed migration paths, stopover points, and timing, enabling researchers to uncover the mysteries of these incredible journeys. This knowledge helps in designing conservation strategies and raises awareness about the interconnectedness of ecosystems across the globe. For anyone who watches birds during migration seasons, the sight of flocks streaming across the sky or resting at wetlands is a vivid reminder of the resilience, adaptability, and astonishing capabilities of these animals. Migration is a defining feature of many bird species' lives, a heroic and awe-inspiring journey that connects continents and seasons, fueling life's perpetual cycle. Ultimately, bird migration is a testament to nature's ingenuity and endurance, showcasing the delicate balance between instinct and environment, challenge and survival. It embodies the spirit of adventure and persistence, inspiring wonder and respect for the natural world's incredible complexity and beauty. Bird communication is one of the most fascinating and complex aspects of avian behavior, playing a crucial role in survival, reproduction, and social interaction. Unlike humans who rely heavily on language, birds use a rich and diverse repertoire of vocalizations, body language, and even visual signals to convey information. This communication allows them to establish territories, attract mates, warn of danger, coordinate group movements, and maintain social bonds. Understanding how birds communicate reveals not only their remarkable intelligence, but also the intricate connections they have with their environment and each other. Birdsong is perhaps the most well-known form of avian communication. Many species, particularly males, sing to declare ownership of a territory, advertise their fitness to potential mates, and deter rivals. These songs are often complex, melodious, and highly variable, with some species capable of producing hundreds of different notes and patterns. The ability to learn, modify, and improvise songs is evidence of advanced cognitive abilities. In many cases, young birds learn songs by listening to adults, refining their calls over time until they develop the distinctive repertoire of their species or population. This cultural transmission of song patterns can lead to regional dialects that help birds recognize neighbors and strangers, The timing and context of singing vary widely. Many birds engage in the dawn chorus, a dawn-time outpouring of song that serves multiple purposes. It signals the start of the day, strengthens pair bonds, and establishes territorial boundaries before foraging begins. Others sing throughout the day or even at night, depending on their environment and social needs. Some species use song primarily during the breeding season, while others maintain vocal activity year-round. Besides songs, birds produce a wide range of calls that serve specific functions. Alarm calls warn others of predators, often differing depending on the type of threat. Contact calls help keep flock members together during flight or feeding. Begging calls by chicks signal hunger to parents, eliciting feeding responses. Mating calls can include soft trills or whistles used during courtship displays. These calls are usually shorter and less complex than songs, but are vital for everyday communication. Birds also communicate through body language and visual displays. Feather positioning, wing flapping, head bobbing, and posturing can signal aggression, submission, readiness to mate, or parental care. Some species have elaborate courtship rituals involving dance-like movements, puffing up feathers, or displaying colorful plumage to attract mates. For example, the impressive fan display of a peacock or the intricate dances of birds of paradise are powerful visual messages that combine with vocalizations to maximize reproductive success. In addition to these common forms, some birds use unique communication methods. Woodpeckers drum on trees to establish territory and attract mates, producing rhythmic sounds that can carry over long distances. Certain species use bill clapping, foot stomping, or even blowing air through feathers to create distinctive noises. Bioluminescent or ultraviolet feather patterns, visible only to other birds, add another layer to visual signaling, invisible to many predators. Environmental factors influence bird communication significantly. Habitat type, background noise, and weather conditions shape how birds vocalize and signal. For instance, birds in dense forests often use lower-pitched calls that travel better through foliage, while those in open areas may use louder, higher-frequency songs. Urban noise pollution has forced some city-dwelling birds to change the pitch and timing of their songs to avoid being drowned out by human sounds. Communication also plays a vital role in social organization. Many bird species form complex social structures, and communication maintains cohesion within flocks, family groups, or colonies. Cooperative breeders use vocalizations to coordinate group defense or shared feeding efforts. Some species use signals to negotiate dominance hierarchies or resolve conflicts without resorting to physical aggression. Importantly, bird communication is not static. It evolves and adapts over time. Studies show that birds can learn new sounds, imitate calls of other species, and adjust their vocalizations in response to environmental changes. This flexibility enhances their ability to survive in shifting habitats and social contexts. From a scientific perspective, studying bird communication sheds light on the evolution of language and cognition. Birds' ability to learn and use vocalizations has parallels with human speech development, making them valuable models for neurological and behavioral research. The neural mechanisms that enable song learning, memory, and production are areas of active study, revealing the sophistication of avian brains. For bird lovers, paying attention to bird calls and songs enriches the experience of observing wildlife. Each vocalization tells a story, whether it's a male serenading a mate, a parent comforting a chick, or a group warning of danger. Learning to recognize different calls enhances understanding of bird behavior and deepens the connection with nature. In summary, bird communication is a rich tapestry of sounds movements, and signals that underpin almost every aspect of their lives. It is a dynamic, adaptive system that reflects the challenges and opportunities birds face in their environments. Through their songs and signals, birds not only survive and reproduce, but also create a vibrant, interconnected world full of meaning and interaction. Birds play an essential and often underappreciated role in maintaining the health and balance of ecosystems worldwide. Their activities influence plant reproduction, pest control, nutrient cycling, and even the structure of habitats. By understanding the ecological roles that birds fulfill, we gain insight into the complex web of life and the importance of conserving avian species and their habitats for the well-being of our planet. One of the most significant ways birds contribute to ecosystems is through seed dispersal. Many birds consume fruits, berries, and nuts, often swallowing seeds whole. These seeds then pass through the digestive system and are deposited elsewhere in the bird's droppings, sometimes far from the parent plant. This process, called endozoochory, enables plants to colonize new areas, maintain genetic diversity, and recover after disturbances like fires or storms. Certain bird species specialize in particular types of fruits, creating close mutualistic relationships with plants. For example, toucans in tropical rainforests are known to disperse large seeds that other animals cannot handle, aiding forest regeneration. Beyond seed dispersal, birds also help control insect populations, serving as natural pest managers. Insects, including many that damage crops or spread disease, are prey for a wide variety of birds such as warblers, swallows, woodpeckers, and flycatchers. By feeding on these insects, birds keep their numbers in check, reducing the need for chemical pesticides and contributing to healthier agricultural systems and natural habitats. This predation also helps maintain a balance in food webs, supporting biodiversity and ecosystem stability. Birds influence nutrient cycling through their feeding and waste production. Their droppings, often rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, act as natural fertilizers, enriching soil and promoting plant growth. In coastal and island ecosystems, seabirds contribute significantly to nutrient transfer from ocean to land. Their guano deposits support unique plant communities and can impact entire ecological communities. Similarly, scavenging birds like vultures play a crucial role in recycling nutrients by consuming carrion, which prevents the spread of disease and accelerates decomposition. Some birds also act as ecosystem engineers, modifying their environment in ways that benefit other species. Woodpeckers, for instance, excavate cavities in trees that are later used by many other animals for nesting and shelter. These tree holes provide critical habitat for small mammals, insects, and other birds. By creating these microhabitats, woodpeckers contribute to greater biodiversity in forest ecosystems. Similarly, flamingos in wetlands stir up sediment while feeding, influencing water quality and nutrient availability. Birds are indicators of environmental health because their presence, abundance, and behavior reflect the state of ecosystems. Changes in bird populations can signal habitat degradation, pollution, climate change effects, or invasive species pressures. Monitoring birds provides valuable information for conservationists and policymakers aiming to protect natural areas. For example, declines in pollinator bird species may indicate problems in plant reproduction, while shifts in migratory patterns can reveal climate-related changes. Pollination is another crucial role performed by some bird species. Hummingbirds, sunbirds, honey-eaters, and certain other nectar-feeding birds transfer pollen from flower to flower as they feed, facilitating plant reproduction. This service is vital in many tropical and subtropical ecosystems where birds are primary pollinators. Unlike insect pollinators, birds can travel longer distances, aiding gene flow across larger areas. The co-evolution of flowers and bird pollinators has led to specialized adaptations, such as brightly colored tubular flowers that accommodate bird beaks and feeding styles. Birds also contribute to cultural and economic aspects of human societies. Many communities depend on bird watching and ecotourism as sources of income, highlighting the importance of conserving avian diversity. Birds inspire art, music, and literature worldwide, shaping human appreciation for nature. Their ecological roles translate directly into benefits, such as improved crop yields through pest control and pollination, underscoring the value of birds beyond aesthetic enjoyment. The loss of bird species and degradation of their habitats pose serious threats to ecosystem function. Habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, invasive species, and hunting have led to declines in bird populations globally. Such losses can disrupt seed dispersal networks, increase pest outbreaks, reduce nutrient cycling efficiency, and diminish pollination services. The cascading effects highlight the interconnectedness of birds with other species and ecosystem processes. Conservation efforts that protect bird habitats and populations also safeguard broader ecological communities. Establishing protected areas, restoring degraded habitats, reducing pesticide use, and mitigating climate change impacts help preserve the vital ecological roles of birds. Citizen science programs engage people in monitoring bird populations, fostering awareness and stewardship. In summary, birds are indispensable players in ecosystems, contributing to processes that sustain life on Earth. Their seed dispersal, insect control, nutrient cycling, pollination, and habitat engineering illustrate the profound ways they shape and maintain natural environments. Protecting birds is not just about saving individual species, but about preserving the complex and dynamic relationships that keep ecosystems healthy and resilient. By valuing and supporting bird conservation, we invest in the continued vitality of the planet for ourselves and future generations. Birds face an array of predators throughout their lives, from the moment they lay their eggs to when the young fledge and even as adults. Predation is one of the most significant challenges birds encounter in the wild, shaping their behavior, physiology, and life strategies in profound ways. The constant threat from predators influences where birds build nests, how they forage, their social structures, and the development of countless adaptations aimed at avoiding detection, deterring attackers, or escaping once threatened. Understanding the dynamics between birds and their predators reveals a fascinating evolutionary arms race that has driven the diversity of survival tactics seen in avian species. From eggs and chicks hidden deep in nests, to adult birds soaring in the sky, predators come in many shapes and sizes. Nest predators can include snakes, rodents, raccoons, crows, jays, and other birds that specialize in raiding nests for eggs or helpless chicks. These predators often have keen senses and persistence, forcing birds to develop clever strategies to protect their vulnerable offspring. Some birds choose nesting sites that are difficult to access, such as high in tree canopies, on cliffs, or inside tree cavities. Others rely on camouflage, building nests that blend seamlessly with their surroundings to avoid attracting attention. Certain species employ active defense strategies to protect their nests and young. Parent birds may mob predators by swooping at them, making loud alarm calls, or engaging in distraction displays, such as feigning injury to lure predators away from the nest. These behaviors require significant energy and risk, but can be highly effective in deterring would-be attackers. For example, killdeer are famous for their broken wing act, drawing predators away from their ground nests by pretending to be injured and vulnerable, only to fly off safely once the predator follows the false trail. Predation risk also influences the timing and reproductive strategies of birds. Some species lay multiple clutches of eggs throughout a breeding season to hedge against losses from predators. Others synchronize breeding so that many chicks hatch simultaneously, overwhelming predators with sheer numbers, a strategy known as predator swamping. This reduces the chance that any one chick will be eaten, increasing overall survival rates. Adult birds are not immune to predation either. Raptors like hawks, eagles, falcons, and owls are among the most formidable bird predators, using keen eyesight, stealth, and speed to capture prey. These birds of prey have evolved sharp talons and hooked beaks designed to kill and dismember their catch efficiently. Smaller birds must remain vigilant, often relying on alarm calls, flocking behavior, and quick flight to evade these aerial hunters. Some species take refuge in dense vegetation or fly erratically to confuse predators. Mammalian predators such as foxes, cats, and weasels also pose serious threats to birds, particularly ground-nesting species and fledglings. Domestic cats, in particular, are a major cause of bird mortality worldwide, with significant impacts on local bird populations. Birds have evolved a variety of anti-predator tactics, such as nesting in places inaccessible to mammals, being secretive during vulnerable periods, or nesting in colonies where the sheer number of adults can deter predators. Reptiles like snakes are especially dangerous to eggs and nestlings. Many snake species are excellent climbers, able to access nests hidden high in trees or shrubs. The risk of snake predation has led some birds to develop aggressive nest defense behaviors or to avoid nesting in habitats with high snake densities. In some tropical regions, where snake diversity is high, birds must be particularly vigilant. Camouflage and mimicry are widespread anti-predator adaptations in birds. Egg coloration often matches the surrounding environment to reduce detection. Some birds' plumage helps them blend into their habitat, making it harder for predators to spot them or their nests. Certain species even mimic the calls or appearances of more dangerous animals to deter predators. For example, some small birds imitate the warning calls of raptors or play dead to avoid attack. Predation pressure also influences migration and daily activity patterns. Many birds choose to be active during times when their predators are less active. For instance, some species that are vulnerable to diurnal raptors may forage mostly at dawn or dusk. Migratory routes and stopover sites are selected with predator abundance in mind, balancing food availability and safety. The evolutionary arms race between birds and their predators drives continual adaptation. As predators evolve better hunting strategies, birds counter with improved escape tactics, heightened senses, and more elaborate defenses. This dynamic interplay has contributed to the remarkable diversity of behaviors and morphologies in the bird world. In addition to natural predators, humans have become a significant threat to birds through habitat destruction, hunting, and introduced predators like rats and cats. Conservation efforts often focus on managing predator populations or protecting nests with artificial shelters and predator-proof fencing to improve breeding success. Ultimately, the constant threat of predation shapes almost every aspect of a bird's life. From the choice of nest site to feeding behavior and social organization, survival depends on vigilance, adaptability, and sometimes cooperation. The ways birds confront and evade predators reflect nature's intricate balance of risk and reward, struggle and survival, a never-ending story of life in the wild. Birds have long held a special place in human culture, inspiring art, music, mythology, literature, and even religion across the globe. Their beauty, song, and behavior have fascinated people for millennia, shaping how societies perceive the natural world and their place within it. This deep cultural connection reflects not only an appreciation of birds' aesthetic qualities, but also their symbolic meanings, practical importance, and role as messengers between humans and the environment. Exploring the cultural significance of birds reveals the richness of human imagination and the enduring bond between people and the avian world. Throughout history, birds have been symbols of freedom, transcendence, and spirituality. Their ability to soar into the sky represents escape from earthly bounds and connection to the divine in many cultures. For example, in ancient Egypt, the ibis was associated with Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, while the falcon symbolized Horus, the sky god and protector. In Native American traditions, the eagle is revered as a sacred messenger carrying prayers to the Creator, embodying strength, courage, and vision. Many cultures view birds as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit realm, believing that their songs carry messages or that their flight paths signify omens. Birds have also inspired a wealth of artistic expression. Their colorful plumage and graceful movements appear in paintings, sculptures, textiles, and jewelry. The delicate patterns of feathers and the fluidity of flight have fascinated artists from the Renaissance to contemporary times. Famous works of art, such as John James Audubon's detailed illustrations or the Japanese ukiyo-e woodblock prints depicting cranes and sparrows, showcase the intricate relationship between humans and birds. In literature, birds often symbolize hope, freedom, or transformation. Poems and stories feature birds as central characters or metaphors for human emotions and experiences. Music is another area where birds have left an indelible mark. Birdsong has influenced composers and musicians, inspiring melodies and rhythms. Classical composers like Olivier Messiaen incorporated birdsong into their compositions, attempting to capture the complexity and beauty of avian calls. Even modern popular music and folk traditions reference birds, evoking feelings of longing, joy, or peace. Bird calls also serve as natural soundtracks in human life, connecting people to their environment and evoking memories or moods. In practical terms, birds have contributed to human survival and development in various ways. For centuries, people have relied on birds for food, feathers, and other resources. Feathers have been used in clothing, ceremonial costumes, and writing quills. The domestication of species like chickens and pigeons has shaped agriculture, communication, and even sport. Carrier pigeons played vital roles in wartime message delivery, exemplifying the unique ways birds and humans have cooperated. Falconry, the art of training birds of prey to hunt, has a rich history spanning thousands of years and remains a cultural practice in many parts of the world. Birds also play an important role in ecological awareness and conservation movements. Iconic species such as the bald eagle or the albatross have become symbols of environmental protection and the fight against pollution and habitat destruction. Birdwatching has grown into a popular global hobby, fostering appreciation for biodiversity and motivating people to preserve natural habitats. This connection encourages stewardship of the planet and promotes understanding of ecological interdependence. Mythologies and folktales around the world often feature birds as central figures, embodying traits like wisdom, cunning, or transformation. The raven, for example, appears in the myths of indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest as a creator and trickster, In Greek mythology, the phoenix symbolizes rebirth and immortality through its cycle of burning and rising from ashes. These stories reflect human attempts to understand life, death, and the mysteries of the world through the metaphor of birds. In religion, birds often symbolize the soul or divine presence. The dove is universally recognized as a symbol of peace and the Holy Spirit in Christianity. In Hinduism, Garuda, a mythical bird, serves as the mount of the god Vishnu, representing strength and protection. The significance of birds in rituals, prayers, and spiritual teachings highlights their role in connecting people to higher powers and the natural order. Cultural festivals and traditions frequently feature birds as motifs or participants. Events celebrating migration, spring, or harvests may include bird-related customs, dances, or decorations. These celebrations acknowledge the changing seasons, the renewal of life, and the deep rhythms shared between humans and nature. The loss of bird species due to habitat destruction, climate change, and other human impacts resonates deeply in cultural contexts as well. Declining bird populations often evoke feelings of loss and urgency, motivating conservation efforts and raising awareness of environmental crises. The cultural significance of birds thus strengthens the call to protect biodiversity and sustain the natural world for future generations. In sum, the cultural importance of birds extends far beyond their biological roles. They enrich human life through symbolism, creativity, spirituality, and practical utility, reflecting a profound and multifaceted relationship. Birds connect us to the beauty and mystery of nature, inspire wonder and reflection, and remind us of our responsibility to cherish and preserve the living world around us. This enduring cultural bond underscores how intertwined human existence is with the flight, song, and presence of birds. Birds are incredibly diverse and have adapted to live in virtually every environment on Earth, from the icy expanses of the Arctic to the scorching deserts, dense tropical rainforests, bustling urban centers, and remote islands. Their incredible adaptability is a testament to millions of years of evolution, which has equipped them with a remarkable range of physical, behavioral, and physiological traits that allow them to survive and thrive under varied and often challenging conditions. In the polar regions, for example, birds such as penguins, snowbuntings, and Arctic terns have evolved unique adaptations to withstand extreme cold and seasonal darkness. Penguins possess dense, waterproof feathers and a thick layer of insulating fat to maintain body heat in icy waters. The Arctic tern undertakes the longest known migration of any bird, traveling annually between polar regions to take advantage of abundant summer food supplies while avoiding the harsh winters. Their ability to navigate such vast distances with precision is still a subject of scientific fascination and showcases the incredible endurance and navigational skills birds have developed. In tropical rainforests, where competition for resources is intense and biodiversity is extraordinarily high, birds have adapted to exploit a wide range of niches. Brightly colored birds, like parrots, toucans, and birds of paradise, use vibrant plumage for communication and mating displays, often combined with elaborate courtship behaviors. Many rainforest birds have specialized diets. For instance, some feed exclusively on nectar, while others prey on insects or small reptiles. Their agility and ability to maneuver through dense foliage allow them to access food sources unavailable to other animals. The thick canopy and complex vertical structure of rainforests also provide diverse nesting opportunities, with some species nesting on the ground, others in tree cavities, and still others in the high canopy. Desert birds, on the other hand, face challenges such as extreme temperatures, scarce water, and limited food availability. Species like the roadrunner, sandgrouse, and cactus wren have evolved behavioral and physiological mechanisms to cope with these stresses. Many desert birds are crepuscular, meaning they are most active during dawn and dusk when temperatures are cooler. They often have light-colored plumage to reflect sunlight and reduce heat absorption. Some species can obtain most of their water needs from the food they eat, minimizing their dependence on scarce water sources. Others, like sand grouse, have specially adapted belly feathers that soak up water, allowing them to transport it back to their chicks. These adaptations highlight how birds have fine-tuned their survival strategies to even the harshest terrestrial environments. In urban areas, birds have displayed remarkable flexibility in exploiting human-modified habitats. Species such as pigeons, house sparrows, crows, and starlings have become synonymous with city life, adapting their diets to include discarded human food and nesting on buildings and other man-made structures. Urban birds often show altered behaviors, including reduced fear of humans, changes in song frequency to be heard over city noise, and modified breeding cycles that take advantage of artificial light and warmth. Some cities have even become important habitats for migratory birds during their journeys, providing food and shelter in otherwise heavily developed landscapes. This adaptability has allowed certain species to not only survive, but thrive in environments drastically different from their natural habitats. High-altitude environments also present unique challenges, with thin air, lower oxygen levels, and cold temperatures. Birds like the bar-headed goose have physiological adaptations that allow them to fly at extreme altitudes over the Himalayas during migration. Their blood has a higher affinity for oxygen, and their muscles and respiratory systems are highly efficient, enabling sustained flight in oxygen-poor conditions. Other mountain birds have thick plumage for insulation and behaviors adapted to short breeding seasons and limited food availability. Islands offer another fascinating context for bird adaptation. Isolated from mainland predators and competitors, island birds often evolve unique traits. Some become flightless, such as the kiwi in New Zealand or the dodo, now extinct, as the need to escape predators diminishes. Island birds may also develop specialized diets or behaviors to utilize limited resources. However, island species are often vulnerable to introduced predators and habitat changes, leading to many extinctions and highlighting the fragility of these specialized adaptations. Migration itself is a remarkable adaptation that allows birds to exploit seasonal abundance and avoid unfavorable conditions. Migratory birds have physiological adaptations to build fat reserves for long flights, navigational abilities using the sun, stars, magnetic fields, and landmarks, and timing mechanisms that trigger migration based on day length and temperature changes. These adaptations enable them to connect distant ecosystems and play important roles in both breeding and wintering grounds. Beyond the physiological and behavioral traits, many birds have evolved remarkable sensory abilities to succeed in diverse environments. For example, owls possess exceptional night vision and silent flight adaptations for hunting in darkness, while seabirds like albatrosses have keen olfactory senses to locate food over vast ocean expanses. These sensory adaptations are crucial to finding food, mates, and navigating complex landscapes. Birds' adaptability also includes social behaviors that enhance survival in various habitats. Some species form large flocks to reduce predation risk and increase foraging efficiency, while others have cooperative breeding systems to raise young in challenging environments. Communication methods, from vocalizations to displays, are fine-tuned to different environmental acoustics and social structures. However, despite their incredible adaptability, birds face growing challenges from human activities. Habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, invasive species, and collisions with buildings and vehicles threaten many species worldwide. Some that once thrived in specific environments are now struggling to cope with rapid changes, while others must constantly adjust their behaviors and ranges. In summary, birds are masters of adaptation, exhibiting an astonishing variety of strategies to live and flourish in nearly every corner of the earth. Their diverse physical traits, behaviors, and physiological mechanisms allow them to meet the demands of their unique environments, from frozen tundras and tropical jungles to deserts, mountains, islands, oceans, and cities. This versatility not only underlines the resilience of birds, but also serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of preserving the habitats and conditions that allow such incredible diversity to exist. Understanding and appreciating how birds adapt enriches our knowledge of life's complexity and inspires efforts to protect these remarkable creatures for generations to come.